you're there. There's us. There's us. We're ready to start. Look at us.
You see? There you go.
Yeah.
You stole my beard, you bastard.
Yeah, I stole your beard. I don't know how this happened. This does not happen. This does not happen at all.
I just woke up one morning, the beard was gone.
Yeah.
I hopped onto the podcast, and there it is in London. I don't know how you did this, Alex. I'm very disturbed.
Well, here's a secret behind that. Express delivery. You know. Express delivery gets it over here as fast as possible. So, I have my people. Oh God, how have things been, old boy?
They've been very well. This is, you can tell I've lost a beard. That's news in my world. And well, I suppose we should kick off on one of the topics that we hit to Smart Arts was house purchasing.
Oh yes, that's right. You did that. By the way, BSW, you tell us if there's any problems with sound, okay? As we go forth, because I've changed them. I've changed the audio a little bit, by the way. I've changed the audio a bit, so if there's any problems like echo, BSW, tell us. Now, housing. You bought a house. You crazy mofo. What is wrong with you?
That's the point. That's the point. Because down here, people buy houses. That is a thing that seems everyone does. And then, we entered into this and, you signed the contract in blood and, this paid for the remainder of your working life. And then someone, Australians are insane. They're the only people who are fixated on buying houses. Everybody else just rents them for their lives. And I thought,
now see you see that as a sort of dedication that everyone in other countries are different. That's not true. People rent houses all the time. I think what you're referring to there is, I'm probably wrong. I think that's a North American thing. North America tends to go, we need to buy a house. That's what people do, right? And if you don't do that, then you're weird. Or something like that. Hang on, we have an illustration here of what we're talking about. There we are. You'll see that in a minute. As we can see, also, Bloodstained Wings has bought a house this year as well.
Maybe we're not crazy. Or are we all crazy?
No, we're not. We're not. But I will say this. What's his name? Adam Conover did a thing on houses in a show, and the pricing of houses, is unnecessarily high, and also we all feel like we are, well, in America they feel like they absolutely need to buy a house, but it's probably not necessary to get one. You're stable enough to get a house, which I've got no problem with you doing that. But a lot of people feel like it's really, really necessary to do that, while it's really a lot more efficient to just rent indefinitely.
Yes, but you bought a house as well, and you are not based in America.
Nope.
And I think the question isn't whether you're capable.
No. That is not the question. Is not whether we are capable. The question is
should. And even ISW was saying that.
Yeah. In Canada, if you are over 30 and don't own a house because you are poor and stupid, basically. Wow. Yeah, that's worse than I thought. Okay.
But you see, that's how it feels here. I don't know what it's like in the UK. But there just seems to be an assumption that if you don't buy a house, it's because you either can't afford it or you're just not smart enough to get in. But Is
You
it
know,
just one of those things where
it
everybody's jumping on board so much that we never stop and think,
well
is there something that I could do with my money?
in the UK at the very least. I'm lucky because
Mm.
a good portion of it was already paid, but um, in the UK, if there's an assumption that if you
Mm.
are over 30 and don't own a house, it's not because you're poor and stupid. It's because you're a human being and are not rich. Housing prices are disturbingly high here.
When you say house, I mean, are we talking? Do you mean just freestanding house, or do you mean like townhouse
Any
or?
house, any house. Most houses, a good portion of houses here are terrace houses, which are
Hmm.
things that are very rare in Australia and Canada. It's
I live in one.
you live in a terrace house?
Yeah. Well, it's a townhouse.
No way, I didn't know that. Wow. So
Yeah.
you've got two
Yeah.
houses next to each other. As
No.
if you
Yeah,
punch
yes,
a hole.
we're going to knock the wall down in the middle and just
Oh,
separate it.
nice. So
Um,
if you punch a hole in the side of your house, you can wave to your neighbor in the bathroom.
that's right. That's right. In
Nice.
fact, why I bought the house next door is because
Oh,
I
okay.
had a hole in it, and I was like, "This is awkward. I think I need to become your landlord. I think it's time we an acceptable relationship." No, we bought a
So
house.
you were
600
basically
meters.
you were a squatter in the cupboard, and eventually said, you know what? Yeah, let's just make this a permanent thing. Let's get a contract out about this instead. You know, this is weird. I'm embarrassed. We're both embarrassed about this. And then they said, I'm calling the police, if that's okay.
It's all right. That's why you said I had to buy the house between them calling the police and the police arriving. That's how this happened. But look, you see, I'm finding this interesting actually, PSW's comments there as well, because and well, and your comments about housing affordability, because I don't know about in Canada and UK, but in Australia, housing affordability is a massive political football.
Yeah, there we go. That we should be able to hear you properly now.
This is called tech fixing in real time.
This is called tech fixing, everybody. Now you should be able to hear Stephen a lot better because I have a thing in my ear now.
Good. I love things in your ear make my voice sound.
Yeah, you sound sexy.
Why, hello there.
Yum, yum, yum. Now, what you were saying beforehand was that it's a hot topic. Everyone is saying, I can't afford a house, and you're supposed to afford a house in Australia. If you can't have a house in Australia, that's really un-Australian, and that's really bad.
Yes, but I just find it interesting that it's the same story, because we say, housing, at the same time, if you can't afford one, you're an idiot.
Wow.
Buy one, you're an idiot. And two, house affordability is the worst in the world, which it may not be, because it seems to be bad in Canada and bad in the UK as well.
I'm going to put this out here, okay? I'm going to put this controversial thought out here. Housing affordability in Australia, I don't think, is the worst in the world.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Now, I don't live in Australia, but I'm going to make a bet and say it's not the worst in the world.
Well, look, I couldn't tell you. I can tell you that they are stupid for a country that's 70% empty. I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
Look, we have the same land mass as the United States and about roughly the population of St. Louis.
We could get.
How is it this expensive?
I don't know. We could get into actual details, but I don't think it's a good idea to start.
It's true. Maybe we should move on.
Actual numbers of your actual housing estates. But yeah, I think the best way to wrap up this is to say congratulations. You have a house
Oh,
now,
thank you,
so
sir.
therefore
I do.
you are not insane, according to your according to the
30-year-old
national
Canadians.
according to the national confrontation. You are not insane. You are a normal
They
human
gave me the
being.
certificate
Oh well, you have a certificate of sanity. Now it's just
Not
a mortgage.
insane. Over 30 bought house. It says it right there.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh God. Um, speaking of being an adult. Speaking of being an
Yes.
adult, I'm
Yes.
gonna keep the subject on you for a bit, because
Uh-oh. Yes.
last last time we did this, it was all about me. Um, how's
You're more interesting.
yeah? You were putting to bed your little one.
Yes, this evening, that's correct.
How's that
And
going?
last time. I have a son, he's 3 years old, and I'm trying to find a more polite way of saying he's a little bit psycho.
You mean he's a 3-year-old?
No, I mean it's not just that he's three, it's like, it's 10:30 at night here. Well, it's now at 11. He's supposed to be asleep.
Are you
And
saying you have a 3-year-old who likes to stay up at night? Huh.
yeah, but 3-year-olds staying up late is meant to be like 9 p.m. It's like, it's 9:30 or something, and he was jumping up and down on the bed. And then he, grabbing my arm and forcing it into a position so that he used it as a leg rest. Um, he doesn't
He's
sleep.
scared. He'll say, "Oh no, if I fall asleep, I'll never wake up." When
It could be.
when
When I
kids
was a
hear the
kid,
words "go to sleep," they don't hear that. They say, "Lie down, very still in the dark for 8 hours."
when I was a kid, actually, I was terrified to go to sleep because for the longest time, I was worried I wouldn't wake up.
Oh, see, there we are. It's not unusual.
I hope it's not unusual.
No.
Probably some psychologist out there is going, oh, yes, deep-seated anxiety from an early age. Um,
Man,
but
I love the fact that we're talking about a kid that won't go to bed while it's 11 o'clock at night at your place. It's just turning 1 o'clock here. I'm drinking my coffee, and you're having your beer.
I am. This is a for those unfamiliar. This is
Oh yeah. Tell me what you tell them what you said to me.
okay, certainly. You see, this is a 4X bitter. Because it's a 4X, you can tell that I have no taste. But because you see, it's also a tally, what we call, because it's a tally, you can tell I also have no class. That's the way these work. So,
Yeah.
I've actually become a bit of a fan of the old tally. Here's a random thing.
Go on.
We first started going to pubs and such, and the
Oh, I
Irish
remember
pub.
pubs.
Oh
I went to
yes,
a
the
pub
Irish.
once.
the
I'm
Irish
familiar with these things.
the Irish pubs came out in Australia, and they introduced
Hang on.
pints.
Whoa. Wait.
Yeah.
Let me get a pub. All right.
Are you going to have one of your illustrations, your pub illustrations?
Oh no, I do not. No, I'm just on Google at the moment, getting relevant images to show people. While
I'm
we're
surprised illustrations aren't all over Google. That's my. Oh look, it's a pub.
Yep. I'm on it.
No,
I'm on it, Steve.
so I remember going to pubs when the Irish bars sort of became big down here, and they
Oh
introduced.
yeah. That's right. I remember. Yeah, the Irish pub. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like really exciting because like these pints they're like 500 mils. They're huge, but I didn't realise this until quite recently. The humble trawley, which is 750 mils, used to be the standard beer size in Australia.
Huh, I did not know that.
Yeah, this
So,
was the standard. This was the standard for ages. So when you read old stuff from the 70s, talk about bottles of beer, they're talking about a few 750 ml bottles of beer. It was only in the 80s that they introduced the stubby, which was 375. So it's just a bit,
so
you
because
know,
there
these
is
things go full circle.
there's the pint, which is the equivalent of Torley, is that right?
No, a pint is smaller than a Torley. A pint is about
Oh,
500, 495 or something, and a Torley is 750.
oh,
So
wow. Okay, I
it's
did
just
not know that.
ironic that you see, that it's considered cool when it's a pint and it's a little bit foreign and exotic and like, wow, it's so big, but it's actually down from the old ye olde Torley, which is now, and I even joke myself, which is now associated with people who have no class. Mind you, if I had a litre bottle of German beer, that would make me classy again. Go figure.
I've noticed this. Okay, I have noticed. Okay, um, Australians tend to get really snobby about their food. I've noticed this. While as the English have no class.
I feel
Basically,
in
well,
society.
as the conversation goes forth, I'm starting to put these things together. We don't have a name for a Tory to
Mm.
point at people and say you have no class. Uh, no, no, no. It's just there's a big beer here. I'm going to drink it now. So that's that. I approve of that. Also, the standard beers do not go pint, schooner, and pot. It's just pint or half pint. You know.
Yeah.
So if you get a half pint, what are you doing? That's clearly not. That's not the first. That's not the first drink you're having, is it? I mean, you're clearly just topping up your your glass. Um, but here's the kicker:
Mm.
Australians are really big coffee snobs, turns out, and wine snobs. Have you noticed that?
Well, it sort of makes sense that it would be wine snobs because we make so much wine. It's like we make a lot of it. Um, so, I do think, and I've just spent, a little bit of time in, very small amount of time in the UK with you and a little bit more in the US. But something I noticed is that while everything could be expensive in Australia, $15 bottle of wine in Australia is generally pretty damn good.
Hmm.
But coffee, that surprises me. Why would we be coffee snobs? We do drink a lot of it.
There are a lot more coffees. I first of all, in this conversation, I'm not considering myself either Australian or British. I'm just an observer for the moment. You can call me
You're a
whatever you want.
professional fence sitter.
I'm a professional fence sitter. You can call me whatever you want, Steve. You can slot me into whatever category. But for the moment, I just want to say that I've had
Mm.
two people that came over from Australia and absolutely loathe the coffee here. Absolutely loathe the coffee.
Oh.
And
Actually, now you mention it, every time I hear of an Australian going overseas, they complain about the coffee.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
that does not surprise me. And my mother, who comes over here all the time, loves to
Mm.
go to places like Neuro or Costa Coffee and just go and hang out there. And she's got no problem with it. She says, "Ah, oh, can we go to
Mm.
Costa Coffee, please? Please." Each time she's here, she just is obsessed. But any full-blooded Australian who comes over here just will hate the coffee and say, "Right, I've given up on the coffee. I've absolutely given up on the coffee. I can't do this." I had just recently, I had someone stay with me, and
Mm.
she was a huge coffee snob, and she also was what's the thing that glucose intolerant.
Oh,
And
oh yeah.
I'm willing to give I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. I know there's a lot of disapproval with gluten-free stuff and millennials and all that stuff, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
way
But look, if
the
you've
way
got
she's
it, you've got it.
described it, it sounded like it was a problematic condition until she stopped taking gluten. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong. I don't care. The point is nowhere in no cafe. You could buy gluten free stuff in the supermarket. There's a lot of choice there, but any
Mm.
cafe or restaurant that you go into, they will look at you like you're from outer space if you order gluten free.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought a cafe is the most obvious place to get gluten free because it's supposed to be, a bit hoity-toity. It's supposed to,
A bit hoity.
cater. Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's
no,
fresh.
no, no,
Okay, this is
um,
surprising.
no. Anyway, they're not called cafes. Yeah, they're called cafes. That sort of puts things into a bit more of a perspective.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wonder which is the French pronunciation. I genuinely.
The French would probably go really, really okay. We'll be over here. We will be over here with our good cups of coffee and our gluten-free pastries.
But we all know
No,
that the
they wouldn't
coffee
do
and
that.
wine
I don't think they would do
France.
that. Actually, I think they'd just say, "You have problem with our pastries? You come over here and you drink. We ingest you full of flour."
I make castanets of your testicles.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
Uh,
that's my that's my pointless observation there with
That's cool. Well,
Australians
I
and
think we should move on to your next pointless observation, Alex. You have a range of pointless observations here that you.
oh yes. There's a satanic copyright claim.
Yes, please tell me about this satanic copyright claim.
Oh, you haven't heard of that? Oh,
No, no, educate me.
all right. Let me. Toot toot.
Satanists amicably settle Warner Brothers lawsuit over the chilling adventures of Sabrina. I'm sorry.
Yes.
How does anyone copyright Satan?
They did not. They did not copyright Satan. They copyrighted that image of Baphomet.
Oh,
So okay, let us let us travel back in time for a little bit. These Satanists were my hero, and now they are not my hero because they're whining about copyright infringement. Oh, how times have changed.
and look, just
Yep.
because we worship the personification of evil, actually, that means we should like copyright law, doesn't it? Isn't that how? Who do you think invented copyright law?
Yeah.
This makes perfect sense. Sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
Satan is actually a lawyer, and he invented copyright law. That's
Makes sense to me.
and that is the I think that's in the Old Testament.
The devil, patron saint of copyright law.
Oh yeah. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to bury the lead first so that we're not, because I know there's going to be a lot of tangents in the story. So I'm just going to bury the lead.
Yes.
There was a in the end, I think the claim there was a settlement, a non-disclosed settlement that occurred. So they did win. They did win this battle. And I'm not too happy about that. I'm left going, that's stupid. Anyway, the
Look,
reason why I
yes, sorry, continue.
originally had the reason why I originally absolutely loved these guys was that they are Satanists by most Satanists who are in a group, and I know I'm paraphrasing and I know I'm generalizing here, but they are
Generalizing. Is that we turn people into generals?
Yes. Generalism. It's Satanism through name only. If you find general Satanists, uh, they will. They're basically the concept behind it is that because America is a hugely religious place, a very religious sort of country, despite
Yeah.
having freedom of any religion in their constitution. I think, yeah, it is in their constitution, yeah. Um,
Mm.
they want to point out that fact, and they want to acknowledge and remind everyone that there are other religions, and you need to respect other religions, even though they don't actually literally believe in their uh, deity themselves.
Mm.
Pastafarianism is a good example, but Satanism has a bit more of a punch, you know. So
Yeah.
they proposed and erected, erected. They proposed and erected this picture of their deity, Baphomet,
Baphomet.
uh,
Okay.
depicted here with a goat's head and fallen angel wings, and two
Pentagram
kids
in his
looking up
forehead
and saying,
and
"Hey, kid, hey, Satan, how you doing? What's up? What's up?" So they constructed this. Uh, so I think, okay, that's a good point to show. Just saying, hey,
Mhm.
you believe in freedom of religion? Okay, that's cool. I'm going to propose this giant picture of Satan. Let's have a conversation here. Conversation they indeed had. Actually, people just shouted a lot when this was erected. Fast forward to this year. So I don't know how long this has been up, but anyway, they now have sued, um, as the as this says, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which is not the best show in the world. I've had a look at it. For $50
I
million.
find that very surprising.
Yeah,
If anything says quality to me, it's a remake of a 1980s B-lister from Archie.
yeah, but this time it's darker.
Oh, right. Well, making it darker makes it better. That's how it works. If the 90s taught us anything, so you can make anything cool by making it darker.
I will honestly say this: it is cool. It is a show that is
Okay.
cool, but it
All right.
doesn't necessarily mean it's good. So yeah, that that is what has happened. They sued for $50 million. I don't think they got 50 million, but they
Yeah,
got a
I'm
portion
pretty
of money.
confident they didn't.
Now,
Yeah, but sorry, go.
they might have just been trying to make a point again and accidentally won a bit, or they might have just literally wanted money, or they were literally uh, upset about this. Um,
Well,
any of those options makes me annoyed, but in different ways.
really? What?
Yeah,
Why would it make you annoyed? Let's assume.
yeah,
Okay, you are, for whatever reason, one of these people who decides just to give the middle finger to everyone. So you set up a temple of Satan.
yes, okay, I have done that.
You create. You have done that. What? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. We're hypothetically. Okay.
Okay,
This temple. You make that statue. Now that statue, I'm looking at it. That would take a lot of time. I mean, you're the expert here.
yeah.
What do you think that's made out of?
That oh, I don't know.
I mean, is that clay? Is that stone? What do you think?
I would say, oh, I've got no idea. I'm assuming it was erected quite fast, so it had first of all it had to have been sculpted out of clay at the very least at first.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd say it was that is a mold of some form, and
Okay.
the original clay it's done fast. It's done relatively cheaply, but you did need at least one artist to get that sorted out. So yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
The point is, it's expensive. Yeah.
it's expensive, like yeah, relatively cheap. But I imagine that if you made that,
Yeah.
that would be a significant time investment for you. I imagine. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you make it, and then you turn on one TV one night, and it's featured in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yep. Or a copy of it at the
Uh,
very least. Yeah.
yeah, the design is, the design is copied, or somebody's used an image of it, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and you
Yeah.
go, hang on, I poured a lot of time into that.
Yeah.
If you want to use my images for money, um, you have to pay me for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how making art works. I mean, if I was them, I probably would do the same thing. To be honest, I think I'd be quite pissed off.
Yeah. I think the reason why I'm annoyed at it is if they are putting on the religion hat, if they are and they are trying to do this. They're
Oh,
basically trying to say, even if they don't believe in Satan, they're trying to
yeah, I see.
imitate a religion.
It's
And
inconsistent.
so if you try and do that, it's sort of like taking the mask off and saying, no, 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 you can't actually. Can I have some residuals from that? It's just
Okay,
it's
I get it.
bizarre. This is why Pastafarianism. If you're going to take something that's stupid to show the absurdity of religion, Pastafarianism is a little bit better because you don't get people who say, no, no, I invented the spaghetti monster. Yeah, that's the other thing, isn't it? What's his name?
Yeah, yeah, it would be.
Richard Dawkins, a
Yeah.
man who argues uh, for atheism, which I've got no problem with, but
Mm.
he is a bit of a dick. But as much of a dick as he is, he doesn't actually say, "Oh, you kids are running around with strainers on your heads, and we've got artists who make the spaghetti monster. You draw and paint the spaghetti monster and in buildings and illustrations and stuff. No, no, no. I own copyright on the spaghetti monster. I want
Yeah,
residuals on that."
yeah,
He's not
I get
doing
it.
that. He's not
Yeah,
doing
okay.
that, and these guys are asking for copyright residuals from an image, a very stereotypical image, by the way, of Satan.
Yeah, that's
Satan,
true.
a character who is already. I'm quite sure Satan is a fictional character that's already in the in the popular the common
Yeah,
domain.
I don't think you can pretend you came up with the idea. And you're
No,
right.
no,
If I drew a picture of Jesus as if I were very committed religious person, and I draw a picture of Jesus that winds up on TV, I'm more likely to be like, hooray, everyone's, I'm spreading the word.
yeah.
That's not suing for copyright. So okay, yes, I take your
So
point.
I am. It's. I think the reason that the fact that the Satanic Church won this case concerns me because I'm
Why
thinking
does it concern you?
it concerns me because we've got an image of Satan as awesome as this looks and as original as this looks. It's not entirely original.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, where's I hate to use the overdone line, but where is the line here? Where is the line?
Well,
I if I was to draw this, I mean, I would probably be fine because I'm not asking for money. But it's just weird that I don't know. Yeah, it is odd and concerning.
well, like, isn't it, goat's head, pentagram? I mean, you're right. It's very generic.
It's the
I
most
mean, it's
generic. It's awesome but generic.
yeah, it's very generic. It's
And
like,
yet
if you
and
draw
yet through that
an even
it was original enough to be considered copyrightable material to acquire some sort of settlement, which you can, yeah. So that's how it concerns me.
Yeah,
I just
and
hate when these things happen. It's a pity that you didn't get into copyright law, Steve.
well,
We would have
it's
so many conversations about this.
I know, but to be perfectly honest, copyright law struck me as very dull.
I
You,
find it fascinating because there's a
yeah,
lot of
but that's because
arguments. There's a lot of
yeah, but
bullshit arguments that have, like, there was the guy who played oh god, I'd forgotten the guy who played the Fresh Print, the
Will Smith.
yeah, but his sidekick in the show is suing
Oh.
Fortnite for the dance that he did,
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
and I'm
Um,
thinking, does that count? How can that count? I don't get it.
yeah, look, I know what you mean. I personally, one of the things I found surprising, and I know it's a bit different being on this side of the globe, but when champagne could no longer be called champagne, um, because of the copyright of the name, and I thought of, and like it all got renamed sparkling.
Yeah, yeah,
Really? I mean, yeah, I know it's well. Actually, I didn't know it was a place in France until after until that came in. But this has been called champagne for as long as I've been alive. At some point, the word just moves into general vocabulary.
yeah. I mean, hey, it's been, but that can't be copyright infringement, can it? That has to
I
be some
don't.
sort
Well,
of, that has to be some other law, because champagne is clearly in the uh, popular domain by now, right?
well, you'd think so, but then why did it all get renamed sparkling?
I I don't know. I'm assuming it's not copyright laws. It's through something else. Maybe some sort of goods, food, goods and services classification law, perhaps I'd say. And seeing
It's
as
weird.
champagne is not the description of a product, but really just where it's from, you could make an argument about that rather than
Yeah, because
I
we
don't
all know that words never have two meanings. Like that just never happens.
know. Once again, sarcasm wins. Okay, so that before we finish talking about copyright, because I find copyright laws. Once I start talking about, it's like it's a black hole. I will just keep on talking about it. Before we stop, I wanted to point out Jeff Koons,
Oh yes.
who once again is in trouble with copyright infringement. Now, while with the Baphomet thing, I say to the Satanic Church, what the hell are you doing? I thought you didn't care about the image. All you cared about was, you know, blah de blah de blah, whatever we wanted
Religion.
to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
But
yeah.
with Koons, I say, no, Koons, stop that. Don't be an idiot. This is an
What
example.
is coming?
He's
Let's pretend.
taking some old photographs that someone else had done, which is clearly not in the public domain, and turning it into a giant sculpture. That was his old work. He also directly
So,
took.
sorry.
Hmm?
Let's assume that I know very little about who is Jeff Koons.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jeff Koons. Let me just pull out my book here, and hopefully,
Oh wow! Did he really make that? I'm
what are you
looking at
looking at? Are you looking at the Oddie thing?
the image you've pulled up. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, he did. Yes.
He made an image of.
So he so he took the image of Oddie and
Is he just yanking people's chain? Is that it? Was he trying to make a point? Because there's a troll there as well. I don't know what the bee is, but it looks vaguely like um, an 80s toy line. I think it was those nightlight insects, the butt
yeah,
glow.
it genuinely looks like a toy. that has been sold. Um, I'm just trying to find a good picture of Coons here, and I cannot. Uh,
Well,
I
earlier
know.
you had a
I'll go
picture.
onto Google and just quickly show you before, just to. So this guy Jeff Koons
Mm.
is mostly remembered and known for this image. This is a giant balloon dog. Now, as tasteless as this is, I kind of like it, and I kind of go, okay, okay, Jeff Koons, you do you, man, you do you. And he also did
Oh.
the giant puppy dog, the giant flower puppy
that
dog.
is that is very modern art.
Yeah, he also did the giant flower puppy dog, which it looks more like a flower arrangement more than
Oh.
permanent modern art. But oh well, it's still iconic, still his sort of thing. Yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Look, the image
Now,
may be subject to copyright.
well, that's true. That is very true. But he has done a lot of copyright infringed things. And his argument is, and I'm putting words into his mouth because I literally did not look up what his argument was. His argument
Mm.
seems to be this is a public image. People know about it. I'm going to use it, and I'm constructing fine art which does not follow the same universal laws as commercial art, which, by the way,
Right.
is bollocks. And yeah, I'm putting words into his mouth. I'm just trying to figure out why he did that and thought he could get away with it. This is a little bit more of a questionable thing. This was used. This particular image was used. So underneath it,
The Audi image.
no, the one that you're gonna see in a few seconds here.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, yeah, yeah.
so we've got a picture of a French magazine here, and he used that as a reference to construct the picture below.
Yeah, but I mean that's what Monty Python did.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have much of a problem with this. I'm
Yeah.
surprised at that.
And a lot of your work, if you don't mind me saying, I mean, you went through, a strong sort of, copying kind of phase. Like you've done a lot of which are, I
Absolutely,
quite you
absolutely,
get
and I've
you
stopped
get
doing that.
memes, you turn into fine art.
I have stopped doing that. A lot of artists do that. Lichtenstein is a huge example. He literally took
Mm.
images from comic books from living artists and just blew them up and just made them gigantic, made a giant
Did he
painting out of
actually
it.
copy the image? I thought he was just copying the style.
No, 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 no. He literally took images that other people did and just blew them up. And I'm assuming his thought was, I'm taking lesser art and making it greater art, and I've got right to do that. And
Yeah,
no,
you couldn't get
God,
away with
that
that today.
as far as and a lot of people, I've been asking today, what is the line? And the answer is there is no line. It really depends on whether the person you're stealing it from cares or not. And if they care or not, if they care enough, they will come after you and they will sue you for a lot of money and destroy you. So don't do that. You can use, if you're a budding artist, you can use them as reference pictures and ways
Mm.
to learn how to do that and copy it and stuff. But if you were to sell them as your work, you're asking for trouble. So that's my warning, kids. Don't be an idiot. Don't be like Jeff Koons, and certainly don't
Don't
be like
steal images
Linsky.
and turn them into fine art. That's that's the warning.
Yeah, don't take image. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I thought you might like to know that Jeff Koons is in trouble again, and I don't know what he's in trouble for actually, because that's an
What?
old one. Oh no, these are all
Interesting.
old ones. He's in trouble with for a particular. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
as I said, you fall into a black hole when you start talking about this
Yeah, yeah,
bollocks,
yeah.
and yay, this is where we end up. Weird things like this. Let me just put a veil over that. There we are. Theatre is too safe again. Yawn. Oh, what
Oh my.
happened there? What did you do?
Yeah. Oh, look. What did I do? So, I'm apparently made safe theatre.
You
Yeah,
made
I would
safe
just.
theatre.
This is just
You made theatre safe again.
I, because no, Alex, it was always safe. It's been safe for at least 10 years now. No, look, this is what happened. I was looking,
Uh-oh,
so
are you going to start complaining about all these new safety laws are just destroying the fabric of how
no,
oh
no,
these new
demanding
fandangled
that
safeties.
demanding that actors get killed. No, no, I'm not going to do that. Believe it or not, I've actually seen an awful lot of injuries on stage. It just seems to be who would have known? You get a bunch of people, tell them to not look where they're walking, and run at high speeds. And they tend to injure themselves a lot. Um, yeah. Anyway, but no, that's not what I was. I
What's the
just
problem? What's the problem? It sounds like you want to sit
it
down.
is the problem, Alex. The problem, Alex,
Have
is
a
that
have a drink of beer. Have a bit of beer to calm you down. Oh no, that's not good.
no. What was I thinking? I should have got the super toy. Um,
They're really tally.
that's because if it's really big and it's classy. Um, anyway, the what I was just doing is okay. I was looking for latest theatre news. I was just sort of like, oh, what's happening in the space? And I came across this front page article on the ABC, which is a big news network here, and it was about and it was a lead opinion. Modern political theatre is safe. That it,
Good old theatre, good old opinion
and,
pieces.
ah,
It's like news, except not.
not. Yeah, except it's really not. And the thing that made me want, the reason it's on this list, well, the thing I found funny about it is, okay, so the article, the problem with modern theatre is that, it tries to put on shows that people want to watch. How dare that? How dare they? We all know that the point of theatre is to actively abuse your audience, call them names, get in their face so that they go, why am I paying you to do the thing which surprised me about it is that, look, it's a bugbear.
Well, first of all, what did you get out of this article?
Okay,
What's
what the
going
article
on?
is saying,
What is
all
going
right,
on?
what's going on? What is going on is that somebody somehow managed to spin us into news. This argument, which, to be honest, I thought was dead in professional
Oh,
circles,
okay. So
was
to
that,
be clear, nothing's actually happening. This is just people are just whining about stuff. Is it?
yeah, it's just an opinion piece, which I suppose struck a nerve. Thought that, um, I thought that this sort of whining, I suppose, this perspective was left behind in art school. Like I'm sure, it would have been the same when you were studying visual arts. This idea about, art is too safe. We need to challenge our audience. What I need is a painting that stabs the viewer in the face. Then, people will appreciate it. Hang on, why would somebody stab? Because, ah! Okay, fine. But I was just surprised to see this sort of idea. So I guess it was the concept behind it I wanted to discuss. Because the central conceit is this, that theatre is too safe because it doesn't challenge its. What it needs to do is it needs to, as I said earlier, it really needs to get in people's faces. Be challenging is the word that gets used a lot. It needs to make people feel uncomfortable. It needs to, be offensive. And the thing I find surprising about this is that this idea, everyone who comes up with it thinks that they're being new and edgy. But I mean, as you would know, this idea originated in the early 20th century. Like, it's like 120 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Brecht, and he wasn't the first. Before him, it was who wrote Frank. I think it was Frank Vatican. He did this sort of stuff as well. Munch did it. Expressionist. Was it? Yeah, Munch wrote. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the idea that you have to do this stuff, it's not a new concept. It's all been done before and done, 100 years ago. Like, it's old. It is not new. It is not interesting. And then I suppose one of the things I always find to talk about theatre being challenging is that one of the things I like about theatre as an art form is that it relies upon having an audience. If you don't have an audience with theatre, it's not theatre anymore, it's a rehearsal.
Yep.
You've got to convince someone to watch. And this requirement of a connection, this requirement having, convincing their time to your art, I think often forces it to keep a foot on the ground, forces it to engage with, the audience, and not do this sort of elitist or, elitist crap, I suppose. Generally speaking, I know there's
if you disconnect with your audience, they're not going to agree with anything that you say.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely right.
You could very easily expand that to anything that's happening today.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to make a very, very huge, what seems like a huge gap, but it's about the same thing, which is connecting with an audience. Okay.
Oh yes.
The subject that's used again and again and again in British tabloids and British newspapers these days is, say it with us now, Brexit. Okay. Now.
Yes. Okay.
Now my go-to paper, which I'm hating more and more these days, is The Guardian, and they are against Brexit. They don't like that. And how do they try and convince people that this is a bad idea? By calling the people who left, who voted leave, calling them idiots, and calling them elitist bastards, and saying the world's going to just fall apart and it's all your fault. It's not. No, stop that. Just hold on a minute. You have an audience, and you're calling them fools.
I imagine it's not very convincing.
No, it's not. And you're just, if there is a second referendum, nothing's going to change because you're insulting those that you're trying to change your mind of. If you take your audience, especially in the theatre, and just disconnect with them by just being elitist to them, and if you need a smart audience to get this, that's not fun.
No, I always used to say, and I'll go back to the Brexit point in a second, but I used to say that the worst excuse any theatre maker can make, in my view, is the audience just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
If you are making theatre, it's about communication. It wasn't the audience wasn't ready. You weren't capable of communicating. That is your fault, not the audience's. Don't blame them.
Yeah, that's true. It's by the way, I don't want to completely destroy new ideas, new feelings, new ways to
No,
construct
of course
theatre.
not.
That's I don't think that's a good thing
No,
to
absolutely not.
I don't think we're saying that. All we're
No,
saying
I'm
is
not
don't
saying that.
call your audience an idiot for not getting your really smart idea.
Yes, if you've got a really smart idea, find a way to communicate it.
Mm. One of the best
That's what you need to do.
theatre productions I saw was Zenzenzo's Macbeth, and there was no chairs.
Oh,
You were part of the performance, basically. You took if
mm,
you were to sit or stand, it was because you are part of the set.
yeah.
Now that was impressive, but
Mm,
they didn't abuse us, the audience, to get where they wanted. It was a challenge, and it was scary, and it was a way it could have been a disaster. It could have been a disaster. So if the audience felt uncomfortable and terrified, yeah, it wasn't the audience's fault. But
yeah.
they did
Yeah.
it well, and it was a success. But my God, it was a challenge. It was a step out of the norm, and they made a what they made a gamble. They did a gamble, and it paid off. But it the point is, it's not because we're a smart audience.
No, no. It's just, and look, sometimes you've got to take the you've got to
Yeah,
take the game before you
sometimes it's
know
good to take the
it's
gamble,
off or
but
not.
the point is, of when you take the gamble, you have to be prepared to.
That it won't work.
Yeah, yeah. That's
And if it
all.
doesn't work, it's not your audience's fault, you know. And of course, different audiences can want different things, but
You know what?
you can't blame them.
I'm just looking at this opinion piece, and I'm thinking, I could have very easily written this because we both used two points of view to have this conversation here. But if I
Mm,
was to write something, I probably would just take a side and run with it. That's probably what I would do.
that's what the
I'm just trying
internet
to.
does. That's what the internet's for.
I know. That's why I've stopped doing the pretentious show. It's
Mm.
just I'm sick of being talking head, saying this is my opinion, this is what I want to say, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
Right?
unfortunately, nuance just doesn't make very good. Um, doesn't make copy. You know.
Nuance does not make copy. Put that on a T-shirt.
No. Well, it doesn't. It's just sort of like, this idea is bad. So much more interesting than this idea is often bad in the right circumstance. While there's some circumstances where it's good, there's a few circumstances. So on average, it's usually bad. That's not interesting. And that's why shock jocks exist.
Oh yes, oh yeah, that's the way. That's the way. What rarely do you find a an in-depth discussion about the Palestinian wall on a T-shirt. We
That's
should do that. We should do that just to just for shits and giggles, just to say, things are not simple. Let's put that on a T-shirt. Let's
could
have
do.
war. Let's have war and peace. Just on the whole thing on a T-shirt.
That'd be awesome. Or of course, you could have something like all slogans are lies. I think
You're being ironic. Ah, ha, ha. See, that's a way to pretend that you're being more intelligent than you actually are, which is kind of one of the comments that one of my YouTube videos got, which is funny. No, they called me an anti-intellectual. That's funny. No, a pseudo-intellectual. That was funny.
oh, right. Oh, God. Yeah, all of those tags are wrong.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
That's hilarious. Well,
And these, that's great. We can very easily wrap up now, or we could just go for one more.
I think we should go for one more.
Go for
You
one
know.
more. You choose. Let's not go for the Jeffrey Rush thing because I want to do a bit of research on that first because I feel like
Oh, okay,
that
yeah.
might turn into an argument, and I want to be prepared.
Never knows. Fair enough. It's a very interesting, very big sort of subject. So
It is
yeah,
a
okay.
yeah, it is. So it's not something to wrap up with.
No,
Um,
that's true. Well, none of these are. We need more light topics. Uh,
oh! The fact that you put in Bluey, a kids show, let me talk to you about this, made me think,
ah,
tickle me intrigued. So why do you desperately, you felt the necessary need to say, I watched Bluey?
okay.
First of all, let me
Because
find a picture of Bluey here. Hang
yeah,
on a
see if you can
second.
find a picture of Bluey.
Bluey, Australian cartoon.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, Australian TV show. There we are. Right. Okay, sorry, I inadvertently Bluey Bluey
What? What?
is a 1976 cop show. Turns out,
Yes, it is. It
I
is not that one.
not that one. Okay, this one. Right. I did not know that. Now I'm looking
Yes.
at the proper picture. Tell me about Bluey. Bluey the dog.
So, okay, have you put Bluey the dog up on the?
Yes, Bluey is here. We have a
Okay,
proper.
excellent.
I don't know what the
There's the. Oh yeah, there he is.
yeah, there we
Okay,
are. Also,
all
that's
right.
not a bad
So
delay as well. 20 seconds is not a bad delay.
okay, cool. All right. So the reason is this is just I'm excited because a new TV show. Okay, the thing is, so I find, as you can imagine, I'm watching a lot of kids' TV at the
Yes, you are, because you are a dad.
yes, yes, and some things are a lot better than others. Yeah, Shaun the Sheep is very, very good. Paw Patrol is horrible.
Now
Um,
see, now I have not seen Paw Patrol. I am aware of Shaun the Sheep. I'm assuming Shaun the Sheep is good because there's very little there's very little speech, so you could very easily follow.
there's no speech.
Yeah,
There's no speech. It's all mime.
but
And
why is
well,
Paw Patrol? What is
wrong.
Paw Patrol, and
It's
why is it terrible?
well, it's what I find interesting about this gets into. So Paw Patrol, um, he loves the images of Paw Patrol. What it is Thunderbirds crossed with dogs. That's what it is.
Oh,
It's just a group of 5 dogs, each of which has their own machine, like a fire engine or a police car or a
I see.
truck, this sort of thing. And they have, and they go out and, save kittens stuck up trees. Things. But the thing is, my son is fascinated with the visuals of Paw Patrol. We bought him a Paw Patrol helmet for use with his scooter. And he
Gotcha.
just ran clutching the helmet to his chest for a week. Never used it. He
Wow.
just picture of the Paw Patrol stuff on it, and he just loved it. And he loved all of it. He'd sleep with it. He'd play with it incessantly, and he'd never watched the TV show.
Wow.
Never, not at all. And then,
I mean, now,
um,
question: did you put the
yes,
Paw Patrol on the TV and say, "Hey, look at this"?
yeah, we did eventually because it wasn't on. A friend of ours sent up, bought him a Paw Patrol DVD to watch, and we put it on. He's like, "Oh my god, they moved! They're talking!" Ah! And he watched it for like maybe a couple of hours, and then he was over it. And he still like clutches his Paw Patrol stuff, and then it just wanders off. Like it's actually a really bad TV show. It's horrible.
Is it a bad TV show for you, or is it a bad TV show meaning to say that it doesn't hold your son's attention?
It's a bad TV show for me in that it's not very interesting. Like there's 5 different dogs, Four of them have the same personality, and it's not a very interesting one. And the fifth one has the personality of scared. That's it. Oh, clumsy. Sorry, that's it. He's clumsy.
Right. Okay.
That's it. It's so there's no different characters. There's no stakes when things go wrong. There's no, the stakes don't build. There's no unexpected twists.
It's just the adventure of a team. It's the adventure of let's just do good stuff.
Yeah, it's just it's very dull. What I find interesting, that he loves the visuals despite the fact that the show is bad. You see, Shaun the Sheep, I think, is a really good show because even I, Shaun, and he will watch Shaun the Sheep over and over and over again, and I don't mind too much because all of the characters are distinct. The plots are highly varied. The characterization is really detailed. And, a lot of thought has been put into how it fits together. So give an example, something my wife pointed out. It's set on a farm. It's English. It's set on a Somerset type area, I'm imagining.
Somerset?
Yeah, And, lots of low stone walls. And there's a farmer in it. And, of course, the farmer never talks. He just shouts things. And he's kind of grumpy and, just walks around looking very stereotypical English farmer. And my wife pointed out that every time he's in a car where, where he's got the music on, the music is techno music.
Yeah. He had a past.
Yeah,
and there was a photo of him as a younger person with spiky hair and stuff.
Oh, sorry. Did I tell you?
I think you told me. I don't know if you told everyone.
I didn't mention it last time. Okay, good. Yeah. So it's just the character has, if you sit down and you go, here's the farmer. What type of music does he listen to? What's the most boring choice I can make? Let's not do that. The obvious thing to do would have been make it country music.
Yeah, but no, they actually cared. Actually, it's a show that actually there's love that goes into that show.
Yeah, that's right. There's a bloke in Brisbane who does these video game reviews, stuff. But he's got some really insightful comments. But he did one where he's saying, okay, this video game has a male character and a female character. And one of them is really strong and the other's really stealthy. If you'd like to guess which is which, just imagine you're the laziest writer in the world. I feel, yes, that is exactly it. It is.
Is that the is that Yahtzee that does that?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. He's a very good writer.
Very good, but that's why. Yeah, I thought that's so clever. Anyway, I guess.
So anyway, the point is, so we've discussed good kids TV shows and bad kids TV shows, and it really depends on whether you're lazy or not. Is what we've really established.
Yeah. I'm sure there are other.
Basically, there are other attributes, reasons why we can get into it. That's it.
Perhaps skill. Let's go with laziness.
That's a start to explain what the problems are. So, Bluey, I'm assuming this is a good show.
This is a very good show.
Why is it a good show, Stephen?
Well, you see, what it is Bluey, the small cattle dog in the front, but it's largely Bluey and her sister, the younger sister, and it's the dad. And what's clever about it is that it's mostly the kids and the dad, and dad not only has, not only does dad have a definite personality.
Okay, they have a personality. That's a good start.
It's a good start, isn't it? But I suppose as an adult watching it, it's his actions are entirely believable.
His actions are believable. Okay.
Yeah, and so for example, one of the TV shows, I think they're like, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 10 minutes each, is he takes the kids to go get Chinese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he turns up the Chinese takeaway, and they forget the spring rolls.
Oh no!
Oh no! So he says, "Okay, we're not leaving without the spring rolls." Tells them to make it, and he
Okay.
goes, we'll just wait here until they make it." And the episode is him trying to keep the kids under control on a street. And the kids are just playing around, basically.
You know what? That's not a thing that I would use to propose a show, propose an episode. That's not what I would
Yeah,
do.
it's not, but it's actually, if you think about it, there's very clear motivation, and there's even a little bit of pathos in that. You're watching the dad going, "I know why you're doing this. You probably shouldn't." you know, because his wife's on.
Sorry, you cut out there. So his wife is what?
Oh, he speaks to his wife on the phone, and he calls, "Oh, look, just come home without the spring."
Yeah. So he said,
In a street corner. And he goes, "No, it's not takeaway Chinese without spring rolls." And, so it's totally understandable and relatable. And of course, it's fun for the kids, situation they can relate to. And so you see, it hits all these marks, that it works on a number of levels, for both the adult and the children, and it's a really well fit together piece. And of course, for such a very, as I said, it established stakes, motivation, and it's got that little bit of pathos where someone makes a mistake, but you understand why they've made the mistake, and you sympathise, But of course, from the kid's perspective, they're just watching the dad trying to keep the kids entertained and on a short. So anyway, that was
from everything that you've described, it's basically a very, very, very human, for want of a better word, problems that you need to resolve. Right there.
Oh yeah,
it sounds like the opposite problems of Paw Patrol.
Yes.
Like I will never have to try and deal with the kitten in the tree.
Yeah, that's right. That's very true. Actually, you're right. That actually is the big strength of it. A lot of the time, it's the kids. Various trouble strikes, but it's the sort of things children and adults have to deal with. So
But the question here is how much does your kid like Bluey?
Oh, he loves
Absolutely
it.
loves it. You can watch it again
Yeah,
and again.
absolutely loves it. Watches it again and again, way more than. So, if you, like me, or a parent who's sick to the back teeth of Paw Patrol, if you can watch this, I highly recommend.
Oh, cool. So watch Bluey, guys. Watch Bluey. Them's important, right? I think that's a good way to sign off. I will.
I think it is.
I will head off and analyze the the other thing that. What was the other thing that I? Oh yeah, oh god.
Jeffrey Ross.
We're gonna dive into something terrible next time, whenever that is.
Oh yeah.
This is gonna be fun. Let's try and find another nice thing to come back to. Another Bluey episode.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
I like it.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for watching, bots. Much appreciation, and thank you, Stephen, for joining me. This has been fun. I like this.
Sir.
We've got to do this more. We've got to find some way to do it more often.
It's true. Well, thank you, sir, and I will catch you. Okay, see you, man.
Bye-bye.